Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are watching the Paris Fintech Forum Communities video interview series. I'm Elliott Gotkine, and today I'm joined by the co-founder and CEO of Sunday and Big Mama, Victor Lugger. Great to have you with us.
Hi, Elliott.
Okay, so before we get cracking, we're going to learn a little bit more about Sunday and Big Mama. Okay, so since we are focused on fintech, let's focus on your fintech rather than the restaurant group. Tell us more about Sunday.
Sunday is the fastest way to pay and to order and pay in restaurants in the world. I'm actually going to start about my restaurant group because this is where it started. We have 20 restaurants across France, UK, Spain, soon Germany. And during COVID, we realized that QR codes were here to stay on our tables. And we realized, well, maybe they're ugly, so let's at least make them useful. And we realized that everyone hates paying in restaurants. Think about doing this, waiting for the waiter to see you, then asking for the bill, then waiting for the bill, then waiting for the credit card machine, then having all your tables split the bills in four, then asking for a receipt. All of that takes 15 minutes. Well, we thought maybe we can enable people to do it with their phone because we all have a credit card machine in our pocket. And we started trying this in our restaurants, enabling you by scanning the QR code that's on the table. The next thing you see on your phone is your bill. No download, no login, no register, nothing. Your bill, in 4 seconds with Apple Pay, you've paid. And we realized that people were amazingly enthusiastic about this. We have up to 95% of people using it when we put it on tables in restaurants. This is insane. So we decided we would spin off Sunday to increase guest experience because everyone hates to pay in restaurants. In North America, in Europe, where we're both present, everyone hates to pay. The second reason why it creates incredible value for the operator. Tips are through the roof. In America, they go from an average of 19% to 22%. In the UK, they are multiplied between 20 and 100%. This means a restaurant that was doing £30 of tips over service charge is now doing 3,000 by week. In France, they are up times 3. In Spain, times 3.2. So, A, guest experience. B, it's amazing for waiters. C, your average turnover increases by more than 10%. Average spend is up. People have more time to get a coffee, to get desserts because they own the end of their meal. Instead of being panicked that, let's order a bill now because it's going to take some time and we need to be gone in 15 minutes. B, because they are better attended. And 3, your table turns faster. In most of our restaurants, the average is table turn by 15 minutes faster. So we're not talking about a few bips here and there. We're talking about persons. Well, last and not least, it's cheaper than your credit card machine. So we started it because it's great for your guests. We decided to spin it off because it brings immense value to the restaurant and to every stakeholder of the restaurant. It's also easier to do your accounting if you're the CFO. So from the CFO to the waiter, the restaurant manager, top line and bottom line, it creates incredible value. But the last part of it is because Sunday is not just a B2B service provider, it's also a B2C brand that is recognized by end users as, you would say, the PayPal of brick and mortar. Because of that, we are able to enhance loyalty and collect data that we share with the restaurateur out of everyone in your restaurants who uses Sunday, which is not 5 or 10% of people, but like 90 to 95% of them. And this, for a restaurateur, a hotelier, anyone who works in brick and mortar, is a crazy figure. We now know who 95% of your customers are. And contrary to delivery platform, etc., we share this data with you. This is our bread and butter. So that's Sunday.
And Victor, I suppose one of the impressive things among so many others, you raised, I think, $100 million within just a few months. How did you put it off? Was it just vital that you had this kind of proof of concept already because you used it in your own restaurants and you could say, hey, here, look, it works, give us lots of money? Or do you just have some kind of magic touch with fundraising? Because that's a lot of money in such a short space of time.
I definitely don't think it's a magic touch. I wish I had that. No, I think the reasons for that are A, the proof of concept was incredibly strong. B, we didn't raise it in one shot. We raised it first in seed, then in Series A, because everything that happened between seed round and Series A was confirming in both North America and Europe all the hints we had in our proof of concept. And C, it is a huge business that we're approaching. It is a huge business. It is literally eventually replacing every credit card machine in the brick and mortar world. Because if you get to think of it, there is no technical reason at all we should still use them. It's been now 10 years we get out of a Uber car and we don't check out. We check in a Uber and then we just go through the door. There is no technical reason you don't do that out of a restaurant. You don't do that out of a hotel. You don't do that out of a bakery. There is no reason for that. The only reason is, how do we assemble existing pieces of technology, and how do we make a whole ecosystem of existing technology, POS software companies, etc., work together so we can enhance in a restaurant the same simple experience that we've experienced in a Uber car for the last 10 years.
Right. And I mean, I suppose given your success, there are going to be more competitors. And indeed, you weren't even the first people to come along with a QR code for restaurants. I guess it's just perhaps the best execution. But we need to move on to the next section, Victor, because we've now heard about Sunday. So we're now going to learn a little bit more about Victor. Okay, so we mentioned this just now. Before Sunday, there was Big Mama. Sunday is effectively a spin-off from your restaurant company, Italian restaurant called Big Mama. Why food? That's not like a tech startup, certainly not on the outside. So why food?
Well, I'm pretty sure I could come up with a very glamorous story. The real story is, I met that guy. His name is Tigran. And when I met him and when we started to discuss and talk together, it felt very obvious that I wanted this guy to be my partner in business. Just like at some point one day I met my wife and I said, wow, I want to build my life with that woman. And we'll see. Maybe it's one child, maybe it's no children, maybe we have 5 of them, maybe we live in London, maybe we live in Bangkok. We'll see. So first, choose your wife, your partner, and then decide what you're going to do. I met Tigran and I thought, I want to build something with this guy. The reasons were, he is the most solar personality. He's an amazingly good guy. But he has a tremendous ambition. And his ambition is not on making more money or whatever. It's on how we can create amazing companies and create more good for people. And I felt all of that amazingly inspiring. And I said, wow, I want to be with someone like that. And so we started discussing, okay, what tech startup do we build? That's 10 years ago. And we couldn't come up with an idea. And so at some point after 6 months, we felt like, okay, maybe we're losing momentum here. So whatever the next idea is, we do it. And the next idea was, let's build a chain of crepe restaurants, which is a very, very bad idea, by the way, or a very complicated one. So we resigned, we started to build our chain of crepe restaurants. And after a month and a half, we realized, A, we don't want to build a chain because it's not that fun. We want to build a group where every restaurant is different. And B, let's not do crepe because it's not that fun. Let's go for Italian food because we both speak Italian, we both love Italy, and we both are very excited at the idea that our job for the next 10 years is going to be to create anywhere in Paris, in Madrid, in London, a small place of 500 to 1,000 square meters where you travel to Italy. And we, as people who love Italy, along with the whole team, our job is to create a small 1 hour and 30 minutes trip to Italy in the middle of London. And that felt very exciting. This is how we started in food. Then it went pretty well because I think we're passionate about food, but that has nothing to do with my training in business or whatever. It just comes from my family. If we go back 30 years ago in Alsace, where I grew up with my parents and my sisters and grandparents, etc., in many families, people have different way of expressing their love. Sometimes we say there is no love, there is only proof of love. In my family, from my grandparents to my parents, our number one proof of love was let's buy food and cook for people.
Okay, and there's so much more I want to ask you, but outside of food and outside of fintech, you've got music and boxing, I understand. How you find a lot of time for that? What are you like? Is there a ring set up in the? Sometimes they have ping pong tables at various startups. I wonder if there's a boxing ring at Sunday, perhaps.
No, there is definitely no ring. And I think the most beautiful thing about boxing, apart from the fact that it's good, intense sport, is boxing helps you build a muscle, which is very useful. It's the muscle that helps you differentiate between the signal you're getting from the outside and the way your emotion work. Practically someone is punching you in the face, and boxing is training you to not panic, stay calm, analyze the situation, and think that everything's going to be okay as long as you stay calm and take the problems and the punch one after the other. It's a muscle that is very similar to the one you develop when you meditate, which I love as well. Or it's very similar to cold water swimming, which I love as well in the pond in North London. It's all of that is on the spot. It's pretty intense, but actually it builds a muscle that gives a lot of clarity and calm and help going through intense moments.
I guess that's very useful when there are so many punches you need to roll with when running a business, especially right now. But look, Victor, a key part of this interview is to get your take on the future of finance. But first, we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with Sunday and Big Mama co-founder and CEO, Victor Lugger. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, Victor, let's talk about the future of finance. Okay, so, we've seen a big, massive shakeout in the fintech world. Listed fintechs have seen their valuations plunge, it seems. It's getting harder for startups to raise money, at least at the valuations they perhaps could have gotten this time last year. I know you're very focused on the business, customers, employees and the like, but surely this must worry you a bit, or is this just another punch that you're rolling with?
Well, I think the context, of course, is very important for all of us running fintech businesses, because the expectations of the market are shifting very fast. We're lucky we're now focused on business, not on fundraise, but we're of course very attentive to how the people look at our business evolves. Looking at how fast it has evolved in the last months actually says one thing: it might keep evolving just as fast in the future, in one direction and another. And if you look at the last 10 crises in stocks, both fintech, tech, and more generally, these things goes really fast. So truth is, I just feel lucky I don't have to be an expert on that question.
Okay, well, here's one thing I guess every Frenchman is an expert on, which is being a Frenchman. You've got two startups effectively under your belt with Big Mama and Sunday. Are you the kind of new French kind of poster child? Are you the new French stereotype, kind of young, entrepreneurial, risk-taking? Is this where all French people will be aspiring now?
Well, I have no clue about what French people are aspiring. I actually live in London, and Sunday is an American company, but being a poster child has definitely never been useful in business. I think what's interesting, and the reason why with Tigran and with Christine we started companies in the first place, was how can you try and create an environment where people grow within your company and where people enjoy outside of the company, your users. And people tell me, yeah, but you were doing restaurants and now you're in tech. It's so very different. Well, actually, it's not. If you're in hotel, you give people a good time during 13 or 14 hours. If you're in restaurants, you give people a good time during an hour and a half. With Sunday, we give people a good time in literally 4 seconds. That's I'll let you decide how French that is. Maybe that's all what I was capable of. But my point is, this new business we have Sunday is actually very similar to restaurants, which in which it is tech that is very focused on creating a good experience. It's not a social network. It's not whatever. It's pure tech that simplifies people's life and make it a little better every day. And in that respect, I've always said that the favorite thing on my phone was Google Maps. In that respect, I think it's a very similar business to the restaurant one.
So, I mean, you say Sunday is a US-based business. You're based in the UK with Big Mama. You are a Frenchman. In terms of, everyone's obviously very focused on kind of, creating, startup hubs, whether it's for fintechs or other, bits of the technology ecosystem. Is France now, I'm just wondering why you're not in France first of all, because you are a Frenchman, and why that wasn't the place where you kind of are creating these new companies, and if now France is just as good a place as the UK or London or Tel Aviv or San Francisco to start a fintech or any other kind of startup.
I would definitely feel it's just as good a place. One thing with Europe is that all markets are very different. So France is still a 65, 70 million people market, same as the UK, same as Germany, etc. And going from France to the UK, from France to Germany, from France to Spain, we've done that in the restaurant business and we're doing that in the tech business, is the same effort as going from France to the US or from US to Canada or from US to Brazil. It's the same effort. But when you go to the US, you have a huge market. So I believe it is bigger and maybe easier in some respects to do it in the US versus France. Now, France versus other European countries, I think France is a very attractive territory to build a startup. The quality of talents there, how mission-driven people are, but the quality of and the hard work, how we have trained as a school system, very, very, very smart individuals is amazing.
Okay, and of course, whether you're in France, the US or the UK, there are certain global challenges right now: high inflation, rising interest rates, slowing growth in China, Russia invading Ukraine, fears of recession growing. I'm depressing myself now. What worries you the most as an entrepreneur, and what should other entrepreneurs, whether they're in fintech or otherwise, be focusing on right now?
I literally have no idea how to answer that question. And then I realized, why is that I don't have an answer to that question? It's because it's an impossible question. You're asking an entrepreneur what worries him. I mean, nothing worries me. If not, I would not be an entrepreneur. I've got a very low aversion to risk. And then on the contrary, everything worries me, which is why we're so good into every detail, which is definitely needed in fintech because it's a very, very technical business with so many details to nail, and it's actually exactly the same in the restaurant industry. A restaurant industry is making 1,000 very small and stupid stuff perfect so that eventually you guests had a great experience. So many small details worries me, but on the macro level, I am very confident in the future at the macro level. At the macro level, I think people are going to be excited to eat Italian food, go out, spend good times with their friends more and more. And the more we digitalize the world, the more people will like to go out, be with real human beings. The only thing is you have to be in the experience business if you're having a restaurant, not in the feed people business, because the feed people business is going to happen more and more at home. But the experience business, for that exact same reason, is going to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. That's A. And about Sunday, I don't see a world where my kids are going to pay like this in 10 years and wait for the billion restaurants. So practically, I'm very confident that the trends, the macro trends on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years are extremely aligned to serving the purposes and the missions that we pursue in our companies.
Okay, well, here's another simple question for you then, Victor, which is, I think yours is one of the first restaurants in Europe to be given B Corp status, which is a kind of measure of a company's social and environmental bona fides. Given where the investment community and society are heading, do you see a day when it's just going to be impossible for any, whether it's a restaurant or a fintech or anything else, not to have, let's say you call it ESG or whatever you want to call it, these kind of things at the center of what they do?
Yes. Yes. Now, I'm not I say yes because I was very bad at answering the previous question, so now I'm trying to find a strong answer. My answer is yes. Now, I'm not an oracle, nor a consultant, so I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But what I can tell you about what's happening today is if you have a group of restaurants throughout COVID and you're looking for money to keep funding your growth, it is 20 times easier if you're B Corp than if you're not. And I say that all the more, and I'm all the more at ease saying that we were B Corp 4 or 5 years ago. We were actually the first in Europe, and at the time, there was absolutely no financial benefits. It was more a cost and a liability on a pure financial standpoint. And I'll be very frank, I was not forcing a future where that would help me financially. We were just doing that because it felt like the right thing to do. I would say already back in the days 4 or 5 years ago, it was a very strong asset to have if your challenge is to bring, motivate, and excite the best talents. Starting with ourselves, if I want to be excited about what I do, I want to give it a reason. And just feeding people with pizza doesn't wake me up at night. Just giving them a great experience, doing that, supporting a great set of values, doing that, supporting a reasonable energy consumption, having 80% of our food being vegetarian, blah, 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 blah. All of that was keeping me up at night, and same with Tigran. So this is why we became B Corp at the time. But at the time, it was more like, okay, it's more expensive, it's complicated, fuck, F it, let's do it. Now, 5 years later, I can testify that it is actually a great asset on the markets if you're looking for depth to do your next 5 or 10 restaurants. Yes, we live in that world already.
Okay. Well, personally, if you ever came to me and I was a VC, I'd give you money just for feeding people pizza. But that's just me. But okay, so look, Greta, it's time now for our round of rapid fire questions. We've got 90 seconds for this bit. Are you ready?
Go.
Okay, I'm going to start the timer on my phone, and away we go. Many successful fintechs that we know are very well funded, but are still losing money hand over fist. Is this to be expected or something that we should worry about?
It is to be expected.
What fintech segment, aside from yours, has the biggest potential over the next 5 years? You can pass if you want.
Keep integrating that very complex ecosystem.
What's the biggest pain point in your everyday financial life that you'd like to see resolved?
Shortage of money.
Okay.
That's fine. There was a joke. I can't answer that seriously.
No worries. Do you think we're at the beginning, middle, or end of the fintech wave?
Or I think we're at the beginning, at the very early days. At
Do
least
you have a
mortar? Everything is to be built.
Do you have a metaverse strategy?
No.
Do you think that regulations in the EU and US have kept pace with all the new possibilities and behaviours we're seeing in the financial industry?
No. Will they ever? No.
How would you describe NFTs? A scam, B, an interesting concept, or C, a part of the future that we really don't want to miss out on?
C.
Have you ever invested in crypto?
No.
Are physical points of sales part of the future of finance?
They are today, yes, as a fact.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Oh, we've run out of time for those ones, so I'm afraid we're going to stop it there. If I can stop my alarm. There we go. Wonderful. Well, that is a shame we've run out of time, but I think we got quite a few nice, easy and hard questions in there. So I just want to thank you, Victor Lugger, co-founder and CEO of Sunday and Big Mama, for taking the time to join me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliott. Thanks, everyone.
And we will be back again next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll be able to join us again then. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Paris Fintech Forum YouTube channel and to follow us on Twitter at Paris Fin Forum. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.